Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you. So today we've got our viewer special. This one is going to be number 27. So yeah, the viewer special, for those of you who are unaware, is a series that I typically like to do about once a week, although sometimes, like the last couple of weeks, I slip. Anyway, usually about once a week, I like to take duels from you all, the viewers, replays that are submitted, and feature them here on the channel. I like to do this for a variety of reasons. The main reason, honestly, well, two main reasons. One of them being that, I like to show a variety of decks and plays here on the channel to the greatest extent that I can. But I alone can only do so much as far as, like, learning so many decks, building and playing so many decks. So, I'm also only ever going to be able to give you my own viewpoint. That's why I like taking games from you all, the viewers, because I think it's important if you're going to watch people play a game to try to improve, not just Yu-Gi-Oh, but any game, that you should watch multiple people to get multiple points of view in multiple ways of playing and kind of get all that information. So that's one reason, but the other big reason is because you're all honestly so helpful in the comments. My comment section is pretty great. I'm not gonna lie. There have definitely been some problematic comment sections I've seen on other YouTube, a lot of other YouTube videos, of course, and even other Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube videos. But I feel like we've got a pretty good repertoire going on here as far as offering constructive criticism. A lot of you are very, very good about that. And I also just, in addition to wanting to give you all the chance to not just talk about your gameplay, but show it, it's just my way of saying thanks as well. Because I wouldn't be half the duelist I am right now if it weren't for you all offering such helpful advice in the comments below there. So it's also kind of my way of saying thank you in that regard. And make sure that we all get a chance to show off our skills a little bit, As far as how you can submit a replay if you are interested in doing so, the main bit of information that I'm looking for is your 9-digit player ID, as you see here. You also going to make sure that you have not only, obviously saved replays, but also make sure that they are saved publicly. If they are not public, then I'm not able to view them, and then unfortunately I'm not able to share them here on the channel. As far as where you can submit this information, you could do so either in the, if you check the description of this video, in that description below, you will find a link to my Twitter. Pinned at the top of my Twitter profile, I have a tweet where I kind of gather all of the replays there and the replies of that tweet. You'll see it's right at the top, and it talks about, starting the viewer special. It was tweeted way back out in May when I first started the series there. So if you don't have a Twitter, that's fine too. You can just leave that information in the comment section below of this video, and I will be sure to check there as well. So for today's or this week's viewer special, we've got a few different decks that I don't think I've featured on the channel before. They're more rogue style decks, which I tend to go to in the viewer special. I tend to feature more roguish decks that I don't play, but I'm not opposed to featuring decks that I've played, or even meta decks like Brand or Despia. Feel free to submit anything. But I just got a couple of interesting decks that I wanted to see played out, and I hadn't seen played out a lot on the channel here. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump straight into those. Okay, so our first duel comes to us from Cade. Cade, I think, submitted this on YouTube. I guess it doesn't really matter where you submit it. Either way, though, so they have a game where they're playing a dinosaur deck against Runic. So I definitely want to check that out. I think that should be this one here. Yeah, I definitely want to check this out. This was the one I was a bit unsure of. I think we might have featured dinosaurs once in a viewer special in the past, but I couldn't exactly recall. I know we featured Dinomorphia. I guess I don't know if this is going to be... This was dinosaurs, wasn't it? Just straight up. Yeah, okay, regular dinosaurs. That's what I thought. Usually I like to watch all the submissions before I record the video. This time I didn't get a time to do that, so it'll be a first time viewing for both of us. That said, I do typically watch just about every replay that gets submitted, regardless of whether or not it makes it to the channel. So yeah, even if it doesn't make it, and again, you can always submit more in the future as well if your submission doesn't make it. That doesn't mean I'm going to ignore you forever, I promise. So yeah, looks like our opponent's getting a pretty typical Runic start here. Looks like they already have the fountain, or they tipped for the fountain, right? Yeah, they tipped for the fountain, that's what it was. Okay, so what all have they hit so far? One of our ultimate conductors, as well as our ultimate evolution pills. I gotta admit, Dinosaur is a deck I'm not super duper familiar with, as far as, especially for me playing with them standpoint. I've played against them a decent bit, but not a whole lot. So my knowledge of how exactly they play is kind of limited to what I can remember the few times I've played against them. I know you blow your own stuff up and you summon big scary dinos that flip your opponent's stuff down. So Okay, looks like they got a reasoning here. Calling level 4, it's interesting. With Runic, oh wow, they have a Royal Magical Library. That's an interesting tech, I hadn't seen this. So 4 was definitely the right call here. I was about to say, with Runics, and whenever they activate Reasoning, I never know whether to call 2 or 4. Because usually the builds that are playing Reasoning are playing a level 4 that they hit. It's usually ends up being Alistair, but sometimes I guess it's stuff like Royal Magical Library. That's not an awful tech actually for Runics, but it's not a great one, I don't think either. Anyway. But I tend to play it safe and call 2, usually, so that I hit their Cyber Side. I feel like Cyber Side is like the main thing they're trying to get off Reasoning, or at least it was when I was playing Reasoning in Runics, so that tends to be what I typically go for. But 4 is an equally valid call as well, because they have so many 4s. Like, they're going to have more Alistairs and Cybersteins, and there are obviously, like, you know, we see Royal Magical Library here, other level 4s they can go into. So, like, I don't know, it's always like 2, 4, I never know what to call with Reasoning against Runics. So it looks like they didn't get us too badly here. They banished one of our Ultimate Conductor Tyrannos and one of our Ultimate Evolution Pills, but that's whatever, that's fine. Okay, opponent looks like they've got a Golden Drop, but do they have many other quick play spells in here? Okay, yeah, they can put back for 3, so that's gonna be a little rough, but what do we have in hand? We still have our Scrap Raptor. I know this is essential to our combo, so it's a good thing this didn't get banished. Ooh, the Miscellaneous. Oh, they had the call by for it. Weak, boo. Yeah, I can imagine call by against Miscellaneous has to be against the most annoying thing, because otherwise it makes us more or less immune to anything our opponent can do. The Miscellaneous Saurus, for those who don't know, has an ability where it actually has 2 very relevant effects. And not only, you can not only discard it to make your dinosaurs unaffected by stuff for the rest of the turn, but you can also then banish it to some of your baby Ceratosaurus. So it's a pretty disgusting card. It's a pretty gross card there. Okay, I see. So they've got the Runic Destruction for the Lost World. I don't think Lost World is essential to our plays at all, though, right? I know this deck makes plays about this card all the time. I've seen it happen. I've gotten wrecked by dinosaurs. I've gotten wrecked by dinosaurs that didn't have Lost World enough to know they don't need that card. Excuse me, sorry about that. Okay, so we did get the Oviraptor. We've got Oviraptor, so I know that's like a huge step towards getting your plays. Oh, and we can pop our opponent's Dinos, duh. That's why we give them the Drac tokens. Oh, that's why we play this Kaiju too, isn't it? Because it's a dinosaur. Yeah, that makes sense, okay. That makes sense. It's too bad that's like the one Kaiju that's gotta be ultra rare. It's funny, you would think Gamma Steel being the most used one would be the one that's ultra rare, but nope, it's the Dino. It's one of a lot of ultra rares you actually need for this deck. Wow, that's a pretty Naturia Beast. It's one of many ultra rares you actually need for this deck. Which is like one of the reasons, and not one of, it's like the main reason why I haven't built dinosaurs yet myself. I would love to try this deck, I'm not gonna lie, I think dinosaurs are rad. Not just the archetype, but like in general, I just like dinosaurs, but like, yeah, you got like the Fossil Digs, Miscellaneous is only a super, okay. It's the Oviraptors in Ultra, right? Yeah, Oviraptors in Ultra, Fossil Digs in Ultra, the Conductor Tyrannos in Ultra. You ideally want this Kaiju, which is in Ultra. It's like a Scrap Raptor, that's super, but the Scrap Wyvern is Ultra in the extra deck. So it's like, you know, and then the Evolsaurs as well, I think are Ultras, right? Yeah, Wagi is an Ultra, I think Dolka's an Ultra too, so it's like, is Naturia Beast an Ultra? I forget, it is, wow, that's a very nice pull then. Naturia Beast also very, very good right now, obviously, given the current matchup here. I mean, we are still going to get milled, like, we're going to get milled 2 cards from using Naturia Beast, but definitely better than giving them 3 draws. Oh, we negate and destroy, I forgot Naturia Beast destroys as well, so that's pretty rad. Let's see, they are going to get their fountain back. Wait, is this negate too? I know it flips stuff down, but hang on a sec. But that doesn't stop this from resolving, right? Okay, I didn't think so. I was trying to remember if it did or not, or trying to figure out if it did or not. It's been like, it's weird, even though like I've been playing Master Duel for like a year. Almost a year now at this point, which is actually wild to think about, but you know, before that I hadn't played Yu-Gi-Oh! Since 2016, so there are still some rulings interactions where I'm a little like, I should know how this goes, but I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, so But yeah, no, that Nature Beast looks like able to single-handedly shut down our opponent there. See, this is the kind of tech I can get behind playing against Runic. You know what you're thinking, like, well, wait, you said that, you know, you don't like playing cards specifically against one deck, but you'd play Naturia Beast, and an extra deck slot is much different than a main deck slot. Much, much, much different. Especially for a deck like this, where it doesn't have to go out of its way to make the Naturia Beast. It's already got a lot of, like, Earth tuners and non-tuners, so it's like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal at all for a deck like this to go there. Like, I wouldn't jam Naturia Beast in the materials to make it in just any deck, but again, a deck that already can naturally, that's fine. Ah, yes, I recognize this line. The good old access code for lethal, a classic. And yeah, that was a very nice game against Runix. Definitely very well played because they definitely had the advantage on the upper hand, or they definitely had the upper hand towards the beginning of the duel. But we were able to turn it around, disrupt their plays, and once the Naturia Beast online, then at that point it was just like over. Oh, I should have seen how many cards we had left because we kind of cut it down to the wire. But you know, much like with life points against Runix, like cards left in deck is not a score but a resource to be used. So yeah, as long as we have the win, that's all that really matters. So yeah, thanks for submitting that game, Cade. That was awesome. Thank you for showing off your awesome tech, that gorgeous Naturia Beast and dinosaurs, or maybe the dinosaurs always run Naturia Beast. I don't know. Either way, that was a very awesome game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. All right, our next viewer here is Gaga Gigo Chad. I think I might have, that username looks familiar, and that feels like a name I would remember, so I think you might have submitted a game before. Either way, I do love the name. And you have a game for us where we're actually playing windups against Phantom Knight, and that's going to be this one here. So I'm pretty eager to see this one. I noticed when I was doing a data breakdown of like all the decks that had been submitted to Master Duel Meta that hit max level in the Duelist Cup, there were like 3 different wind-up decks. I wouldn't be surprised if you were one of them, actually. That's right, I remember you submitted your deck list over on Twitter as well, so if you want to check out the deck list, that's going to be in that Twitter thread as well here. Oh my god, that just took me back. The jump forward into the wind-up magician, like, oh, in the Zen Mighty, this is like, sorry, I'm having some Yugi Boomer flashbacks right here, because I definitely played when this deck was a tier 1. It wasn't quite tier 0, but it got close at one point. Deck, this wind-up deck. So I see that junk forward, like all these monsters. I'm just like having flashbacks to like not just like those games or this deck, but also like that point in my life as well. I don't know. Oh, this is definitely a new one though. I actually have never seen this card up. I didn't know wind-up's got a link monster. Wind-up Zen Maintenance. Let's see. It's destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Target wind-up exceeds. You control attach this card to it. Only use each of the effects. Wait, each of the effects once per turn. Link summon to add a wind-up card. That's pretty good. Banish a wind-up monster you control face down. Special summon monster. Wow, that's really good. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. A lot of archetypes, a lot of them, got really good Link 2s and Master Rule 4. I guess wind-ups was one of them. Oh, and the sharks, that's right. Wind-up shark is so disgustingly good. Now, granted, at the very least, windups aren't able to do what I'm used to them doing. Because like, I see these sharks come down, and I just immediately thought Shockmaster. And it's funny, because I didn't even remember that necessarily off the top of my head, but my brain just went like, you know, multiple windup sharks plus windup magician. Oh, that's going to be a Shockmaster. But no, that card is thankfully long banned. But we are still going to be able to get the Totally Awesome online. Oh, we got some Adamantipator plays as well. That's right. I remember seeing that in the deck list. The Block Dragon and some of the other Adamantipator cards, and I remember thinking like, huh, I wonder, okay, let's see what we end up doing with those. So, looks like we got before that a Utopic Draco Future, which is pretty rad in addition to the Totally Awesome. Oh, breaking Naturia Beast! From the last game, it's like, I saw the materials, and I wouldn't have thought of that if we hadn't just seen, you know, somebody make Naturia Beast recently, but, hey, it's pretty rad. Alright, so we're going for Appaloosia now too. Wow, this is actually pretty awesome. I did not realize that White Nips could put out such a good end board. It didn't really seem like. What did we start that play off with? Like, what was needed to make that play? It was pretty much Zen Mighty plus Magician, right? As long as you make a Zen Mighty and have a Magician, you can looks like end on this board. Oh, but our opponent had Droplet. They actually dropleted us for 4. Hang on, what all did they send? They said 2 Torn Scales, a Griffin Rider, and a Crossout. I mean, yeah, what else were they going to do, really? Their last card is Rhoda for for the Ancient Cloak, and now they can go for a DPE. Huh, you know, I was wondering, like, okay, how is our opponent just gonna, like, concede right away, right? Like, there's nothing they can do here, but our opponent actually had, like, the one thing they could do. How about that? Now, granted, I think even with DPE, it's still gonna be, like, okay, what do you attack over and then pop here? Like, you don't care about the Naturia Beast right now, so we can leave that alone. Will the Appaloosa actually go back? I think this will go to 0 attacks, so there's no need to attack this, so, DPE should, in theory, attack over the Draco Future and then pop the Totally Awesome here. Let's see if our opponent ends up doing that. Oh wait, they have a lot more plays than I realized though, because of the Torn Scales engraved. Ooh, I didn't even think about that earlier. Oh, so are they not gonna go for the Vert at all? Are they gonna try to go for a fancy play? Oh, they don't have anything to discard. What are you doing? Opponent, no! Stop! Why are you making an access code? I guess I can pop 3 things here. Yeah, okay, that's fair, that's fair. Is that actually better than DPE here? I don't know, actually, I'm trying to figure that out in my head right now. Either way, it was a very impressive comeback from our opponent. It was, I totally didn't even think about the Torn Scales in the grave, allowing for more plays than just the DPE, so. Ooh, we do get the Shark back, that's very nice. And then, yeah, battle over Appaloosa. I just wonder, because, like, again, Naturia Beast wouldn't have done anything. I think Appaloosa would have gone to 0 attacks. They could have had a live DPE here. And they could have easily, like, blown up this wind-up rat. Like, I don't know. It's obviously it's easier to, you know, hindsight's always gonna be 20/20, right? So it's easy for me to make these, like, speculations. But I do think, like, I don't think it was wrong. I don't think my opponent was in the wrong mindset to go into access code instead of the DPE. But it looks like DPE actually would have been the better play in the long term. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like, and I very easily could have seen myself making that exact same play and doing the exact same thing as a result. Like, it's just, I point it out because it's so interesting. It's something I like to keep in mind, or I want to keep in mind in the future, is like, you know, instead of trying to blow up the most cards, think of how much do we actually need to blow up. Can I have a quick response during my opponent's turn instead of slowly, you know, clearing their entire field this turn? I don't know, it's just like, it's giving me food for thought. One of many reasons I like featuring everyone's games here on the channel is because, you know, again, by watching multiple people play and seeing all these different scenarios, and also being able to think of them in a scenario where you're, like, not directly involved, being able to be, like, an unbiased third party, is very helpful towards, like, I don't know, just towards, like, advancing and advancing your mindset, I guess. I don't really know how else to say it. Oh, that's exact lethal, isn't it? I was like, no, I was trying to add up the math real quick. I thought we were a little bit short, but no, that's actually exactly lethal. Wow, yeah, we managed to dismantle their board pretty handily, so that was a very impressive showing from windups. Hang on, that actually kind of makes me want to go through and, like, see, like, how many is your ultras? Like, how much would it cost for you to make a wind-up deck? Like, I figured that was going to be ultra. Is Mighty also an ultra? Yeah, I thought that was going to be the case. I'll do this later, but, like, suffice it to say, I'm definitely, you've piqued my interest in wind-up, so thank you very much for your submission there, Gaga Gigo Chad. So we've got one more game to watch from a viewer here. Let's just jump straight into it. And last but not least, we've got another game submitted. This one comes to us from NAJN, and they have a game where they're playing Orcust against Runix. I tried to cherry pick a little bit games against Runix here, because I know people were probably interested in seeing that, but I also wanted to make sure, again, that we were looking at decks that we didn't see too often on the channel ourselves. This is definitely the first time. I think we featured Orcust in a viewer special before, but this is the first time since Galatea went to 2, so I'm definitely intrigued to see what all the deck, and we saw a lot of Orcust. We saw a lot of Orcust in the data for the Duelist Cup there. So, yeah, this is also one of those decks that's kind of scary to me whenever I play against it, because it feels like they always have these, like, really long turns, and I'm still not super familiar with playing against this deck. So I'm still, like, every time it happens, I'm like, what all are they doing? Like, what should I negate? Like, how much of this should I be scared of? You know. They also play Scrap Raptor, which you know, any deck that plays Scrap Raptor usually has pretty scary combos that come afterwards, so just always being mindful of that, I guess. Plus, I know Orcus were, you know, at one point, like, the deck to beat. I know that was way back in Master Rule 4, and a lot of the stuff that made that the case has been hit since then, but, you know, you gotta think about any deck that's got that kind of staying power. It's definitely something to be mindful of. Especially when they have, you know, cards at their disposal as powerful as Galatea and the Harpor as well. Both these cards are very good and have been semi-limited recently. I think, is Harpor at 2? I think it's at 2. Can I actually, hang on, I'm trying to figure out if I can click this and find that out. Yeah, it is at 2, okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, who knows, maybe like in the future this deck will see even more cards start to come off the ban list and will start to creep more and more back into like meta relevance. And definitely already, with Galatea coming to 2, as well as of course the Harpor in an earlier list. Like I said, we're already seeing quite a few of them here in the Duelist Cup, so it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility that we're going to be seeing a lot more Orcus in the future. I would definitely anticipate that moving forward, this is going to be an upper rogue deck. Whereas before, especially when Hardcore was at 1 as well, I would have maybe classified it more as like mid to lower rogue, but it's definitely upper rogue now for sure. If not pushing its way into tier 3, there are a lot of decks in Master Duel like that, honestly, where like they're upper rogue, but if they saw like a little bit more play, they would be considered tier 3. It's honestly, I'm myself surprised how many decks I would consider at that power level. And in that way, there are potentially a lot of decks out there that are being slept on in that regard, so... Oh, that's so annoying! This Runic player, we had like all the responses, but they had every way to search the fountain here, so... I don't think they even tried Hugin yet, though, to be fair. Yeah, no, they opened it and they tried the Pathfinder, and then they had the tip. So if they had any other... Yeah, they could have still Hugined, definitely. Or potentially, rather. Another reasoning for Royal Magical Library. Is that a new tech or something? That's interesting. I haven't encountered Runics playing a Magical Library at all myself yet, but I mean, I could definitely see it for sure. But it seems so win more. It's like you're already getting 3 draws for 3 spells. Why would you want 1 more draw for 3 spells? And even then, the library has to be on board, like for you to be able to get the draws, and you can't do it during the singular draw. And it only happens during your turn. You can't do it during your opponent's turn. It just seems win more to me, honestly. I'm not a fan of it. Especially because it like, our opponents keep, you know, hitting the library off the Reasoning instead of the Cyber Sign. I would think you would want the Cyber Sign much, much more. Like, the Last Warrior from Another Planet is definitely the card I want to be, you know, ultimately getting here. It's definitely the resource I want to be getting, not just like 1 random draw off Royal Magical Library. Is my 2 cents, but hey, maybe I'm the one who's wrong, so... Now it looks like we're able to shut down their fountain pretty easily. I should have paid a little bit more attention because I actually don't know what effect we did that with. Was that with the Link monster there, the Longarisu? No, that just says linked monsters. Well, in any case, we were able to answer their runic fountains handily enough, and it didn't seem like we had any problem with like resources or anything. Nor did we have any trouble going into the DPE there. So Orcus, yeah, definitely going to be one of those decks to watch out for. It's definitely something I'm going to keep in mind moving forward. So thank you very much for your submission. And yeah, I think that's about all the time we've got for now. So let's go ahead and move over to the outro. Alright everybody, I want to thank you for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a lot to me, not just personally, but as a means of supporting the channel as well. Other ways of supporting the channel, if you're interested, you know, definitely feel free to subscribe, not only here on YouTube, but if you check out the description linked below, I have a link to my Patreon page. If you want some more daily Master Duel content beyond what's produced here on YouTube, feel free to check out that Patreon, and there you will find more daily Master Duel content that's exclusive to there. It's just $5 a month, and the contribution means a lot towards the channel. Of course, though, I have to give a huge thanks to you all, the viewers. Especially all of you who are submitting games for the viewer special. It obviously would not be possible without you. I really like doing this series, and it means a lot to me to be able to do this series. So thank you all for submitting games and making this series possible. Like I said, it does mean a lot. But yeah, I think it's about all the time that I've got for today. So without further ado, this is Hexlex signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.